Hi everyone, welcome to another one of my LinkedIn live events. It's been a really long time that I've come up here. I think it's been like more than 2 weeks. Usually we tend to have like two live events a week, and so far we have missed like four of them. I was traveling and I was busy, and I was majorly actually busy with LCTM and completing the training. So, if you don't know, LCTM is basically my signature life coach training and monetization program, where aspiring coaches train with me to become full-time professional life coaches, and they learn how to set up their one-person coaching business. So if you're ever interested into that, you can always check that out. So today's topic seems to be something that I've dealt with in my coaching sessions quite a lot, and I do tend to get questions around it. So I thought I might as well just do a live around it. If you're new here and you do not know how these live events go about, we basically discuss a topic in depth, right? I discuss a topic in depth with you, and if at all you have any questions, you can ask me in the comment section, or you can also DM me at the same time if you feel that's your preference, and I will answer those questions along as along we go. I'm just going to quickly check my audio and video. I have tried to sort of make my video quality a bit better because I saw that it went down ridiculously low. Specifically on YouTube, if you're watching it on YouTube, you would notice that the quality of my video was not that great. So let's hope that this time it's better. Okay, I think we are fine. My video and audio seems to be visible. All right, I'll just quickly see my light settings. Okay, I don't know if it's better or not, but you know what? Let's go ahead with it. Whatever we have. All right. Now, as usual, if you have attended my live event before, you know that I tend to discuss things in depth, and then we sort of go about in the last part as to how do we really deal with a specific issue. So, similarly, even in this live event, we are going to first understand deeply what does a people pleaser actually mean, what are the signs of being a people pleaser, and then in the end, we're going to discuss what is it that people pleasers actually need to do to come out of this cycle. Now, the very first question is, what is a people pleaser? Who is someone who's a people pleaser? So people pleaser is basically someone who revolves their life around what are people thinking of them, right? As the name suggests, they like to please other people. They're very concerned with, oh my god, is the other person upset with me? I should never do anything that would rub someone else the wrong way, or that would lead to someone being upset with me. Or whenever they're trying to make a decision, right, the first thought is, what will happen to my image? What will this other person really really think of me, right? So their entire life sort of like revolves around that. And that is why, when it comes to people pleasers, they don't really think about what they want in their life, right? Their entire life just revolves around what other people are what other people are thinking of them. And these other people that I'm mentioning, right, they can be anyone, right? They do not always have to be friends or colleagues. They can also be simply your parents, right? Some people specifically display people pleasing tendency towards their parents only, right? And it can be like both sets of parents, right? Like both mom and dad, or it could be specifically mom, it could be specifically dad, right? So people pleasing doesn't mean that you have this tendency with everyone. It could also mean that it is with specific people. However, today's topic is overcoming people pleasing at work. So today we are discussing what is it that people pleasers are like at their workplace. But again, remember that any issue that is work related is not just work related only. Okay, it spills into your personal life as well, because you have to remember that when you are going to work and when you're coming home, you do not drastically change as a person. Okay, maybe you sort of shape shift into a different personality, right, based on your confidence level and based on how you feel about yourself, but it doesn't actually mean that you completely change as a person. So if you are a people pleaser at work, there is a high chance that you're sort of displaying those same qualities in your personal life as well, maybe, or it is coming out in different form. Maybe you're a people pleaser at work, and then you become like the complete opposite at home, right? You become very aggressive, you do not listen to other people, you're very ignorant. Or maybe you are a people pleaser everywhere, right? So it can manifest in different forms, but today's topic is overcoming people pleasing at work, so we're going to stick to that. Also, just want to apologize that we started this live event late. We were supposed to go live like 1 hour before, but it was raining where I live here, so I didn't want the internet to be botchy, and that is why we're starting late. All right. So now we are going to look at signs of a people pleaser. If you see me looking down, it is because I have like a small notebook with me where I write down what is it that I want to cover. Because I tend to forget things a lot. I'm a goldfish. I do not remember things. I have to write down. I have like bunch of sticky notes with me. Anyway, now we're going to discuss a few signs. If you relate with them, it means that you are a people pleaser. You may relate with all of them, you may relate with few of them, doesn't matter, right? Because as human beings, we all display different tendencies. So you may or may not relate with all of them. So just try to listen to it carefully and try to see where where am I displaying these types of tendencies. Okay. Now the very first sign of a people pleaser is very obvious. They are unable to say no. Now what do I mean by this? Right, usually when someone is coming to you and asking you to do something for them, or they're asking you anything, right, your yes is based on whether you can meet this particular person's requirement or not, right? Your yes is based on, okay, is this something that I can actually meet uh, without really tiring myself out, or without really exhausting myself out, or without really compromising myself or not, right? So you do not completely forsake yourself just to meet someone else's needs. That is going to be reaction of a healthy human, healthy, individual who also values themselves as much as they value the other party. But that is not the case with people pleasers. They do not know how to say no, even if someone is asking a lot of them, asking things that are going to come at a cost to this particular person. They will not be able to say no. For example, let's say I have had a very tiring day, very exhausting day, and I just want to go to sleep because I feel that I'm going to get sick very soon. You come to me and you tell me that, Yanshi, can you drive me to the airport, right? And if you know anything about how far the Bangalore airport is, it's like 1.5 hours far. And if I'm a healthy individual, I would tell you that, you know what, I would love to, but I'm really, really tired today, so I don't think I will be able to do that. Will you be able to find like another alternative? That would be a normal reaction. But for a moment, let's consider I'm a people pleaser. I will not be able to say no to you, right? Even though my mind is screaming at me that please say no, your body is so exhausted, my words will be, oh yeah, sure, you know what, I'll just come in. And here you don't know what I'm going through, right? You don't know, like, you are not aware that I'm so exhausted. So here, now people pleaser split into two people, right? At this point, one is, some people glorify this. Some people feel, oh, you know what, it's okay, you should always sacrifice something for the people you love. Or what are relationships if you're not doing something beyond you, or you don't have to be so selfish. This is like their inner talk, right? So some people pleasers, they glorify people pleasing. They will also victimize themselves. They will think, oh, you know what, that is how the world is, or this person should have about understood that they should not be asking me at 8 p.m. in the night to drop them to the airport. But you know what, they've asked, so I can't say no. I'm a good person. Like, there are so few good people in the world left. I'm one of them. So they will either victimize themselves or they will glorify the people pleasing. Now, there is another set of individuals who become passive aggressive, right? They start to develop a lot of anger and resentment inside them, right? Towards the other person. Why can't this person understand that they should not be asking me to drop them to the airport? Does this person not have etiquettes? Does this person not understand basic manners and stuff like that? So, what I will do is, as a people pleaser, instead of understanding that it's my job to specify to the other party that, you know what, I am exhausted, I cannot drop you to the airport right now, I will blame them, right? I will, instead of communicating to them, instead of working on myself, I will blame them, or I will victimize myself thinking that somehow I'm superior or so moral, or I will again think that I'm such a good person that I'm doing this, right? I will do anything and everything instead of actually doing the main thing, which is actually communicating my needs, right? Because it is so difficult for me. I do not know how to say no, right? No may seem like a very simple sentence, but for me, no means, oh my god, what will the other person think of me? Or what if the person thinks I'm rude? What if I am being very aggressive? What if the other person thinks that I just take from them, and when it comes to giving, I do not give them anything, right? All these thoughts are coming in my head. So I do not know how to say no. So I will do whatever it is that I can to justify it in my head, right? Now, we put this same example in the work context, right? For example, your manager is coming and uh, telling you that, can you do this project, right? And you are unable to say no despite being very exhausted. That, you know what, yes, I'll do it. Or your colleague is telling you, can you cover up for me while I'm not here for 1 week? You desperately want to say no because you yourself want to spend, let's say, some time with your family, and you don't want to work so much. But you will say, oh yeah, sure, why not, I will cover up for you. So, because you're unable to say no, you keep on inviting more and more problems in your life, right? You keep on inviting extra work. Specifically, when it comes to work related issues, you invite like extra things on your head, right? Things that you may not even be getting paid for. And even if you are getting paid for them, the extra work that you're doing, it's just not worth it because you did not want to do that in the first place. So, for people pleasers, they take away their own autonomy, they take away their own freedom by not exercising their right to being assertive, right? Being assertive is your right, and people pleasers do not exercise that right. They shy away from it, or they simply, do not exercise it and stuff like that, and that leads to them not feeling um them not feeling that they actually have the freedom to live their life. You will often see people pleasers saying that, oh, you know what, that's how life is, or I'm always stuck with something, or oh, I can't say no, and other things. So they deliberately, right, tie themselves into things, convincing themselves that, the other person has made it difficult in their life. So the very first point is that being unable to say no. I don't know how the light is today. I'm trying that it's not too dark, but i'm uh, I'm doing this in the evening today, so the light is not that great, so bear with me, please. All right. Now, the second point is changing your personality according to whoever you are with. Again, a very classic sign of someone who is a people pleaser. So, one thing that's very common with people pleasers is that they are not very secure in themselves, right? They do not feel confident in themselves, and they do not feel that whoever they are, accepted, or that they do not actually have to please others. And because they do not feel secure and confident in who they are, they change their personality according to who is around them. And sometimes it will be obvious, sometimes it will be very subtle. You will notice some people pleasers that maybe, let's say, in general they are very quiet, right? And they like being quiet, that's something that they like. Suddenly, if it is their boss around, they're ridiculously laughing at the jokes even when they don't find it funny, or they're trying very very hard to be someone they are not, just to please their boss or just to please their colleagues. Or when it comes to, let's say, in terms of work, suddenly they become a completely different person when it comes to their senior leaders or stakeholders, right? So this is disingenuous, right? This is you being inauthentic, and you suddenly changing your personality. And again, you might not have control over it. For people pleasers, some are aware that their personality changes, but some people are not even aware their personality changes, that they're not even able to control it. Why? Because they deep down feel insecure that I am not enough. Whoever I am, I'm not enough. And that is why I have to be something, or someone else, for this particular person to like me. Right? Now, there's a nuance here, okay? Being polite, being diplomatic, or sort of having a personality which may be more likable is very different from completely changing your personality, right? Being polite and being diplomatic is fine. Obviously, we all are a little bit different in front of different people. That's completely okay. But when you change your entire personality, right, you pretend to like things you don't like, you're lying to other people about who you are as a person. For example, let's say you don't like to go to parties, but when your manager is asking you, "Oh, you know what, like drinking is so cool, partying is so cool," you agree with them. You may even force yourself to do that. All of these things are very inauthentic. And the thing with inauthenticity is, it may seem like a very harmless thing to do, but you have to understand that is how your lack of trust in yourself deepens, right? People pleasers have this as a like a neon banner thing, that they do not trust themselves. They do not actually believe that they are likable enough, that they don't have to change their personalities. And the more inauthentic you are, the more your lack of self confidence will become bigger every single day. Because you have to understand that you have a relationship with yourself too, right? And that is a relationship you cannot lie yourself out of, or something you can escape from. So when you are consistently telling yourself through action, right, not maybe, not maybe through your words, but through your action, that you know what, you are not good enough, and that is why I will be something or someone else to be likable. Your body and you start to have a very big disconnection, and that is why over a period of time, people pleasers tend to develop a very deep disconnect with themselves. They do not recognize who they are, they don't even know what they are, they don't know what they like, right, in their life, because so for so long they have just fueled this disconnection. For so long they have, been inauthentic for a very long time. And this may not be your fault if you're a people pleaser. This may simply be a result of, and we're going to talk about it, a deeper trauma is responsible. Sometimes when trauma is responsible for your people pleasing habits, you do not have control over it, right? And this is very common with trauma survivors, that they try whatever they can to sort of escape a situation where they may feel unsafe, right? And safe doesn't always mean like physical safety. We're also talking about emotional and psychological safety. So for example, if you are very terrified of people not liking you, you're very terrified of what will people think of me, you're very terrified that people may look down on you, it will be a very automatic reaction for you as a form of coping mechanism, as a form of self preservation actually, right? For you to simply change your personality. So this is something that you may actually not have any control over, right? And I've worked with clients like this, where they just did not have any control over how they sort of became as a person in at the workplace, because they were so terrified. And you have to understand that when you have unhealed trauma, your body will do whatever it can to preserve itself, and you will not have any control over it. That is why trauma healing is so essential, because it's like you don't have any control over it, right? You do not choose the trauma response that you have, and you also do not choose how your body responds in a specific situation right then and then. All right, so coming back to the topic at hand, um, as you were talking about that you sort of change your personality according to who you are with. Now this third thing is, you are very afraid of conflict and you run away from it. Anytime you feel that you have to disagree with someone, you have to say no to someone, you want to avoid that conversation at all costs. For example, there is a your team leader has suggested something uh, for your project, and you very well know that that's not a great idea, and you want to say no, you want to say that, you know what, this is not a great idea, there is a better way of doing it, but you're terrified. So you may completely avoid the conversation, leading to you sort of doing work that you know is not yielding results. And if you yourself are a team leader, right, you will put your team members also at at a problem area, right? They're also at stake, because again, that tends to happen with leaders who are people pleasers, because they do not know how to stand up for themselves and what they believe in. The brunt of all of this, right, the brunt of their people pleasing is paid by the people who are working for them. So if you are a leader, or if you actually aspire to be in a leadership position, please work on this people pleasing, because you have paid the price for it for a very long time, and maybe you were okay with it, right? Maybe you didn't want to do anything about it, but please do not let other people pay the price for it, right? For example, let's say if you are a senior manager and you have like consultants and associates working under you, and you're working with, let's say, a like you are in a conversation with your senior manager, and your senior manager is asking you to do something, and you know that your team right now cannot take additional work, and your people pleasing is going to lead to saying yes to the senior manager, that you know what, yes, give me the work, I will get it done. But who is paying the price for it? Your team members also, right? Your associates, your consultants, and they shouldn't be paying the price for it. So specifically when you are working in a corporate setting, or even if you're a business owner, honestly, do not be that person who does not work on themselves and other people are paying the price for it. It is not a good look, and ultimately it leads to stalling in your career, right? Now, coming back to the topic, being afraid of conflict, like thinking 1000 times, oh my god, how do I say no to this, how do I debate this topic? Or for example, you are in a, let's say it's a roundtable meeting, or it's a conference call, and you really want to say that, you know what, I have a better approach, or you know what, this is not actually the right approach, or this is not going the right way. You think 1000 times, even if the thing is very obvious to you, right? And someone else may come in and say that, oh, you know what, this is not the right approach, and everybody is giving credit to them. And then you're sitting wondering, oh my god, I had this idea way before this person. I wish I could have just said it. So people pleasing also leads to you not developing a strong visibility at your workplace, right? Because to actually have visibility at your workplace, to have like a strong presence at your workplace, we also call it executive presence. You need to stand up for things, right? You need to actually have an opinion that you're not afraid to speak about. You actually need to be able to be okay without with your opinion, without thinking, oh my god, what if everyone disagrees with it, right? That is how you actually have a presence. That is how you have a strong presence, when you're not afraid to speak up, when you're not afraid to stand out. And people who are people pleasers are very afraid of that. They are very concerned with what will people think of me. I want to hide in the background. I want to, not come across as someone who is trying to cause any conflicts, or someone who's trying to create any issues, so let me just hide, right? But you have to understand, it comes at a cost of something, right? When you're always hiding behind something, when you are always, tongue tied, you don't want to say things that, you're very capable but you don't want to say it. What it leads to is you not getting the credit for the things you actually know, right? Because what is happening, you are not speaking up. How is the other person able to know that, okay, this person is credible? One of my clients actually went through something like this. Like, he would always know the answer to things, but he would not speak up in meetings because he was always very afraid what would people think of him. And as a result, someone who was like around 2 to 3 years junior to him sort of came in, and because he was confident, he got all the attention and credit of things that actually my client was working on for a very long time. And that led to my client developing a lot of anger and resentment. So we worked on all of his issues. We worked on his anger, we worked on his people pleasing, but what we really worked on, which actually created a massive shift for my client, was that I made him realize in our coaching sessions, how was he creating this situation. And when he realized that, and obviously we had to work on it, there were some traumas responsible for this. We did some inner child healing, we did some deep trauma work. All of this led to my client started, speaking up in his meetings. And as a result, he started getting the credit for the things that he already knew. And he was very shocked by it. He was like, oh my god, Ajay, this is something I always wanted in my life, and I'm finally getting it. And all I had to do was speak up, right? So the things that you want are not very complicated if you really really think about it. You just need to find out what is the roadblock and need to work on it. Okay. Now the next sign is apologizing for the things that are not your fault. Now this is when you are just apologetic for things in general, right? For example, let's say you are a few minutes late, right? Instead of let's say, again, the power of language is a very big thing here. Instead of saying that thank you so much for waiting for me for this additional 10 minutes, you're very apologetic about it. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Or let's say you simply made a normal mistake, right? Instead of hearing how you can improve that, you're deeply apologetic. Oh my god, I'm so sorry for wasting your time, I should have worked on this longer and this and that, right? So you're just very apologetic. And you have to understand that when you give off this very apologetic vibe, you come across as a person who cannot be trusted, who does not believe in themselves, right? So tomorrow when it comes to leading projects or giving more leadership positions, or leadership responsibilities, or even responsibilities to initiate things, you may not be the first choice because you are always apologetic about things, right? You do not take things in your stride simply saying that, oh, you know what, yeah, fine, I made a mistake, what's the big deal? So you have to understand that if you really really want to advance your career, specifically, in a corporate setting as well, or again, what, even as a business owner, if you are ridiculously apologetic about things, people are going to just assume that, okay, this is how the person is, or this person doesn't actually trust themselves, so this person is someone who we cannot really trust to lead things, right? Because this person is just not confident in who they are. At the end of the day, your energy plays a very big role. At the end of the day, how you really speak, how you really show up sort of creates an impression on the people's mind. And this is an impression you create actively, right? So you have to sort of see at your past history and see that, am I overly apologetic about things? And again, here you may think, oh, sorry is a nice word, why not use it? You have to be careful with your words. You have to be careful with your sorries. If you're saying too much of it, people are going to always think that you are the one that should be blamed, that you are anyway making so many mistakes, or that if you say too much sorry, your sorry sort of loses its essence and meaning. So nothing of too much is great, right? Even sorry, or even thank you for that matter, it needs to be in balance. Now, the last sign, and again, there could be more, but I'm just covering as much as I can today, is tying your self worth with what other people think about you. So, again, in terms of work settings, for example, let's say you want to volunteer for an initiative, your thought is, oh my god, am I even worthy of doing it? Or what if I screw it up? What will other people think of me? Or let's say you want to try out for a leadership position and you are thinking, oh, what will people think of me? Who is she to try this out? Who is he to try it out? Or you want to, let's say, simply ask for a higher pay, and your first thought is, oh my god, will my manager think I'm greedy? So, and again, the second layer to that is, if let's say someone does say something, right, you take it very, very personally. For example, someone just passes a comment that, oh, are you really ready for this leadership position? Again, a confident individual will debate this particular topic, or simply say that, yeah, you know what, I am ready for this position. Or you may be curious that, oh yes, I am ready, what makes you think I may be not? But if you are a people pleaser, you will take this person's remark very personally, and you will make a very big deal out of it, and ultimately you will talk yourself out of your own goal. This is a very small example, it can extend to many different places. And as a result, people pleasers are, very vulnerable at workplace, right? They are not able to handle any kind of remarks in an objective way. They take it very personally, because again, deep down, the self-worth is tied to what other people think of them. They want to be liked all the time. And you have to understand that you're not chocolate ice cream, okay? People are not going to like you all the time. And you're not supposed to be liked by everyone. You simply aren't. It's not your job. But if you think that you should be, then that is when you really need to look at yourself, that do I really want to keep doing this? Because you cannot please everyone, that's just it. Sometimes you may come across someone who's just a cranky person, right? They dislike everything and everyone. You need to ask yourself, how long will I go on like this? How long will I keep on obsessing over whether other people are liking me or not? And how far am I willing to sacrifice myself? Because sometime, right, in fact, not even sometimes, it may happen that you have tried your best to please someone, right, and they're still not pleased. What will you do? How far are you going to run? How far are you willing to sacrifice your time, your energy, and everything? So you need to really think about, what are you doing with your time, what are you doing with your life when it comes to this whole people pleasing aspect. Okay, so now we're gonna look at three, four like deeper reasons why people pleasers are the way they are. I'm just going to quickly check my uh, LinkedIn post to see if we have any questions so far. Okay, I don't think we have any question. Simply, someone has said that boss perception also most important. So I think you're trying to say that the perception of the perception the boss has of you is also important. So there is one thing I want to say to that. What other people think about you, there are two aspects to it. Okay, first is, you do not have any control over that. Other people can think anything about you, right? Even if you've tried your best. Second is, you actually have the power to shape other people's thinking, right? Now, when you see that you cannot please someone, right, your job should be to stay confident, so that if not pleased, they actually respect you. And you have to understand that when you are confident, even if someone does not like you, they will respect you. They will know that this is someone who knows what they're doing, and they are far less likely to not consider you a capable person or not. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to work, yeah, someone may not like you, but when you're confident, they will respect you, they will know what you bring to the table. And at the end of the day, work is about that. Work is about people knowing that you are pretty valuable as a person, right? They may like or not like you, and that is why, as a people pleaser, you do not win many battles. Okay, you may think you are, but you're actually not. So when you are confident, some people may still choose to not like you, but at least they will know what you bring to the table. And that is what is the most important thing is when it comes to work, right? So work on your confidence, it is a non-negotiable skill, right? It may seem like something that is okay to have, but if you are someone who's actually been in their career for about 5 to 6 years, you would know that that is what actually pays you. If you are a if you're a fresher, or maybe someone who has not understood the value of being confident, it may take you a few times or few incidents for you to realize. But if you are someone who's pretty attentive at work, you would know by now that if you are not confident, you're leaving money on the table, right? At the end of the day, someone who is confident will be able to attract the eyeballs that they need, and they will be able to command the respect and attention at their work, e- as opposed to someone who may be very competent but is not very confident, right? Because again, at the end of the day, as human beings, we sort of favor things that are visible, and we favor things that we trust in. And confident people exude the energy of self trust, right? Think of it like this, right? There is someone who is not very sure of themselves. Whenever you give them something, they're either apologetic about it, they're good at their work, right? They're very apologetic about it, and they're not really sure about their value, and they do good work. And here is someone who also does good work, but they're very sure of who they are, right? Whenever there is a challenge, they sort of, says that, what, I'll be able to take care of it. When push comes to shove, you will always choose the latter person. You will always choose the person who says that, what, I can handle it. Or someone who's not apologetic, someone who's confident. Why? Because when you have to take a decision, you will always choose a person you feel safe with. And underconfident people do not feel safe with who they are, and they also give off that indecisive and underconfident energy to other people as well. And that is why it's very important to be confident. It's very like subtle power dynamic that, again, as I said, right, you will realize it as you grow in your career. Maybe you are not very old, but you have understood the value of it, because again, age has nothing to do with it. Some people realize the value of confidence in their 50s. Some people realize it in the 30s, 40s, or 20s, wherever you are. The point is to actually observe and understand how people react, understand how people choose, understand the psychology behind it. It's not always the hard work you put in, it's the way you also package your hard work that matters, right? All right. Now, why are some people, people pleasers? Now, the very first thing is lack of self confidence and having a poor self image. So, when you think lowly of yourself, when you lack confidence in who you are, when you do not actually believe in yourself, you tend to find other people, or you are always looking for other people to sort of give you that safety. Because lack of confidence is what? Lack of inner safety. So when you do not believe in the value you bring to the table, when you are not really sure of who you are as a person, when you are not a very confident individual in general, you are always looking for other people's validation, right? And this leads to always chasing validation, and this also sort of fuels your people pleasing tendencies, right? So if you relate to this, very very important for you to actually develop self confidence and actually work on your self image. Because if you don't value yourself, you have to understand other people are not going to value you either, because you teach other people how to treat you, right? And if you treat yourself poorly, it sends off that exact same message to other people that you can walk over this person will not say anything. Now, the second thing is critical and fearful parenting. So, this is where sort of deep inner work comes into the picture. So, usually individuals who grew up with a lot of critical and fearful parenting, right? They had parents who were not very loving and supportive, or they had parents who sort of always scared them, they made them feel unsafe, or parents who were very judgmental of you, or parents who did not really, made you feel that your opinion matters, or what you're saying matters, right? They made you feel insignificant, or they always dictated you as well, right? They always told you what to do with your life. So as a result, you sort of do not actually feel comfortable upsetting other people, because you sort of develop a lot of childhood trauma around it, right? Because you've seen volatile parenting of your parents, you've seen how how much they used to criticize you, you have seen how much fear you had around your parents. So as a result, you sort of carry that fear of judgment, the fear of what will people think of me, the fear of being reprimanded in your workplace as well as an adult. And no matter how old you get, this fear is there, because childhood trauma does not go away unless and until you've actually healed it. So when you have a history of critical parenting, fearful parenting, you have you have never been made to feel that your opinion matters, or that your what you're saying matters, or that you can take active part in decision making in your life. When you've not felt that, you feel insignificant growing up, right? And that feeling of insignificance sort of is always there in your body, right? So even as a grown up adult, you may not actually feel confident, no matter how far you may go in money or achievements, because that childhood trauma is still there in your body. So that is something you need to work on. Now, the next thing is actually putting people on pedestal, which is again a result of having an unhealthy power dynamic with authority figures. This is often, again, a result of father wound, Again, if you've not actually sort of gone through my 4-day childhood trauma healing boot camp, you can. So a father wound is basically when you have not shared a healthy and loving relationship with your father, when your father was very volatile, or someone who was very, um, aggressive towards you, or someone who was very, very critical towards you. So often father wound, and sometimes again, not having a great relationship with your parents, where your parents were very dominating, very critical, leads to having an imbalanced power dynamic with authority figures, right? You are very afraid of authority figures. You suddenly become very submissive when you're talking to people who may be, who may be knowing more than you, one, who may be senior to you in position. Third, they are just simply more assertive and more confident than you. You suddenly feel very small in front of confident people. You suddenly feel a lot of self-doubt when you come across people who are confident, who know more than you, or who basically present themselves better, right? So this is a result of having an imbalanced power dynamic with authority figures, and this results in you putting people on pedestal, right? Think of it like this, that you are, let's say, in front of your manager, and you think that my manager is here and I'm here. You believe that my manager is bigger than me, more special than me somehow. My manager is someone who just, is just a more special person, or someone I have to be very careful around. What happens is that you create this imbalanced power dynamic, right? You put yourself down here, so you make it unnecessarily difficult for yourself to have a conversation with him, so it becomes difficult. As opposed to if you were confident, or if you actually worked on your unhealed trauma, it would be like this, right? So things would be easier, right? You would not actually be afraid to talk to your manager, because you believe that he is equal to you. But because you believe that my manager is special, bigger than me, and other things like that, you put him on a pedestal, and you make it unnecessarily difficult for yourself. And this is again a result of, as I said, that not having a great relationship with authority figures, not sort of having like balanced power dynamic, and this results in you feeling that, oh my god, I'm somehow lesser, or I'm somehow less special or less valuable, right? Now, the next thing is fear of losing what you have. Now, when it comes to your workplace, this may translate into fear of losing your job, fear of losing your promotion, fear of losing the position you've just gained, or if you've gone to a new company, you're afraid that, I will lose this. I will lose a sense of credibility if I speak too much. I will lose a sense. I will lose a sense of, this aura or demeanor about me, or I don't want to appear bossy. I don't want to appear this or that. So fear of losing something you have. And again, this is the result of not actually believing in yourself. So when you think that what other people think of you is something that matters more, and second, if you believe that what other people think of you is more powerful than how you act in the situation, you have this kind of mentality. Because you have to understand that what other people think of you is actually largely determined by what you think of yourself. You may think that, oh my god, first impression is the last impression, but that's not really the case. When you are talking to people, when you're talking to your colleagues, they are learning more and more information about you every single day. So even if you were to screw up, let's say, you can always change that. You can always have more conversations with them. You can always clarify things that could be misunderstood, and you can always apologize if you did do a mistake. But people please don't realize that. Why? Because they're very stuck up on that, what other people are thinking of them, right? So if you are afraid of losing your job, you're afraid of losing your promotion, you're afraid of losing your credibility and stuff like that, you may also become a people pleaser. This could be like a situational people pleaser thing, where you sort of entered this phase very recently, like you feel very submissive around people, right? So when you have this fear, again, you need to actually work on your self confidence. You need to work on how you think about yourself, and you need to work on first knowing that if I do screw up, right, that's not a big deal. I can always change it, which is the truth. You can change it. And that is why your self confidence is incredibly important at your workplace. Now, the last point, and again, something that I've mentioned again and again, is what will people think of me, right? Now, this can translate into you not being able to say no, yes, but you also sort of always worrying that every time, like eyes are on me, which means that I have to calculate 1000 times whatever I'm doing, so that I'm not stepping on anyone's toes, I'm not undermining someone's authority, I'm not undermining someone this and that and stuff like that, right? So all of this will sort of also result into you always displaying people pleasing tendencies, and you always being worried about whether this person likes me or not. And again, this is also a result of lacking self confidence and having a poor self image, and lacking that inner safety, and always trying to find safety in other people. So usually people who are very obsessed with what other people are thinking of me are usually the ones who lack this inner safety, right? And see, as human beings, we like to be accepted. Okay, we like to belong, we like to know that, oh, other people like us, and we are accepted. But when you lack confidence, what you do is you yourself do not accept yourself, right? So you're always at the mercy of what other people are thinking of you. As a result of this, you also have a very higher tendency of sort of being stuck in analysis paralysis, where you're unable to make a decision in your life at all, because you're always worried, oh my god, what will other people think of me, right? So very, very, very important to sort of work on your inner safety. And why I'm using the word inner safety so much is because inner safety is sort of lost when you undergo any kind of traumatic situation. Could be childhood trauma, could also be trauma that you've developed as a teenager, maybe as a young adult. So when you experience a traumatic situation, you sort of lose that sense of safety in your body, right? And when your body sort of loses that sense of safety, it develops a trauma response. So for example, if you grew up with very strict parents, who would scold you if you did something wrong, or who would stop talking to you if you did something that they did not want you to do, you learn to be very, very careful with what you do, right? You learn to always sort of suppress yourself. You always look at other people that, oh, let me see what they're thinking and I will do according to them, because you're very afraid of other people's reaction. So this becomes a trauma response. As a child, you had to mold your behavior according to your parents' moods, so that you could escape their wrath, their anger, their scoldings. So this becomes a trauma response even as an adult, right? So it doesn't really go away. The only way it goes away is when you sort of develop a deep connection with your inner child, and you actually work on healing your trauma. Something that I do in my one-on-one coaching sessions with my clients, and something that I've seen, and I highly recommend you to do, as we'll be talking about how to actually overcome this, is it is a process. Okay. um, I want to discuss both the aspects. I want to discuss the practical aspects of how to overcome people pleasing, and I want to also discuss the inner work aspects, because you have to understand that you cannot overcome people pleasing with some hacks. It's a very deep rooted problem, right? If you find yourself like someone who's not valuable, if you do not believe in the value you bring to the table, if you're constantly downplaying yourself, it is not going to go away with a hack. You're going to require you're required to do some deep inner work. So I want to talk in both the aspects. So first, let's talk about the practical aspects. So I want to discuss a few things as to how you can actually say no at work. So the very first thing you can do is you can be diplomatic. Now, what do I mean by diplomatic? If you find it very difficult to say no outright, how you can actually say no is you can simply say that, you know what, I am, for example, let's say your manager is asking you that, can you stay late tomorrow night for this particular work, which is very, very important, and you want to say no, but you don't know how to. What you can do is you can say that, you know what, thank you so much for offering this to me, but I'm not available tomorrow after 6 p.m. because I have an important XYZ thing to get to. However, I can ask, let's say, Lisa to do it, and she will be able to cover for me. Is that something that works for you? Right? So basically, saying no, but also offering solution to the other party, so that their problem is also resolved, and you also do not have to compromise yourself here. So here it will help to sort of create a solution for the problem that the other person may bring in without compromising yourself. Now, the second thing you can do is delay giving a response. If you find saying no on the spot very, very difficult, delay the response. Simply say that, thank you so much for asking me. Let me check my schedule and get back to you. Or can you give me like 10 minutes? I'll just look at my schedule and I'll let you know when I can accommodate this, or if I can accommodate this. And in those 10 minutes, or in those 2 hours, few hours, whatever it is, compose a message, right, where you're politely saying no, and letting them know that this is something that you may not be available to right now, and then sending it to them. So instead of outrightly saying yes, delay the no. The next thing you can do is offer to do it at your own timeline, right? So for example, let's say again your boss has come and asked you that, can you stay till, let's say, 10 p.m. tomorrow, because there's an important project, and you do not want to stay past after 6 p.m. You can simply let them know that, Thank you so much for offering this to me. However, I'm not available after 6 p.m. tomorrow because I have XYZ things. However, I am available today for 2 hours, and I'm available for like extra 3 hours day after tomorrow. Is that okay with you? Is that something that will work with you? So offer to do something on your own timeline. And if the person says that it is not doable at all, then you can say that, oh, I'm so sorry, but tomorrow it will not be possible. However, it is possible at these timelines. If you're okay with it, I'll be happy to help. So what you are here doing is you're also letting the other person know that you do respect them, and you respect whatever they're asking of you, but at the same time, you're also not disrespecting yourself, right? Now, the next thing is more of an awareness thing, which is I want you to start noticing who do you display people pleasing tendencies most with. Is it your managers? Is it your seniors? Is it your colleagues? Is it a very specific type of colleague? Is it a very specific type of person you sort of become people pleaser to, or you become submissive to? So when you are around this person, try to have like a few statements in your mind ready in case they do ask something of you that is inconsiderate, or that is something that is simply beyond your scope, right? So be more aware of when do you get into this people pleasing tendencies. Sort of notice a pattern, that when does this happen the most? Is it something that happens around certain type of people only? Is it something that happens around this particular manager or senior manager only, right? And then have a few responses with you always ready to always sort of give it to them, that you know what, this is how it is. Now, I will not lie, in the beginning it's going to feel a bit uncomfortable, but you have to understand that uncomfortable does not mean that it is hard, or it means that it is bad. Okay, uncomfortable is just something that you're trying out, the very first time. And just because something is new doesn't actually mean it is hard, it's just new, right? And it will become second nature to you the more you practice it. Now, when it comes to the inner work part, the very first thing that is extremely important for you to develop. Oh, something wrong with my camera. Okay, it's fine now. All right. Something very, very, very important for you to develop as an individual, specifically who's a people pleaser, is to develop your inner confidence, because you have to understand that the reason you are a very big people pleaser is you do not believe in the value you bring to the table at your workplace. And when that is not taken care of, when that thing is not taken care of, it's not gonna sit well. Like, no amount of hacks, no amount of the statements I also give you is gonna work, because at the end of the day it comes down to, do you actually believe in yourself? Do you actually believe in the value you bring to the table, right? Because you can always practice hacks, and sometimes you will not actually have the window to form a statement, right? And in that moment your self confidence is what is going to save you. So work on your inner self confidence. Second is heal the traumas responsible. Now, you may not be aware of what trauma you actually carry. If you are interested, I have a 4-day boot camp on healing childhood trauma, where we've also covered people pleasing, I think. You can go through that, and you'll be able to see what kind of traumas you may be holding on to, and you can work on that with whoever you want to. If you're interested in working with me also, you can just drop me a DM coaching, and you can book a one-on-one session with me where we can see what traumas could be responsible. But please work on healing your traumas. Okay, when we do not heal our childhood trauma, we may think that, okay, we are suppressing it, or we are so cool by not displaying it, but it does affect us, right? It is there. It does cause problem. The only difference is that some of us are honest about it, some of us are not honest about it. So work on your traumas before they become too big, and before they cost you something that's very expensive. Okay, sometimes there are some opportunities in your life that are sort of like once in a lifetime opportunities, or sometimes some opportunities really, really want to come into your life, but because you are so stuck in your trauma responses, because you're not done your inner work, you are unable to invite them into your life, you're unable to grab onto them. So don't let it become that big of an issue. Okay, work on it right now, work on it right away, and fix your relationship with yourself, right? Sit down and really, really look at what is the kind of relationship I have with myself, or whenever I'm doing this people pleasing thing, how do I feel about myself, right? Most people pleasers don't actually feel good about themselves, and it is because they value themselves less than whoever is in front of them. And that's the exact message they give to their body as well, that you know what, I'm willing to sacrifice you for this particular person, because this particular person is more important to me than you. So it is a disconnect you start to form with your body, right? Which is where the problem really starts to deepen. And I've worked with like close to 200 plus corporate professionals now, and one thing I can tell you is that delaying something only makes it bigger. It does not solve it. It does not take it away, like, any kind of numbing or coping mechanisms. None of it helps, right? When you start working on it, you will see how easy it was for you in the very first place. See, it's not hard. When you do inner work, everything starts to feel very smooth and very easy. Okay. So make it easier for you. Make it easier for you to succeed. I'm a very big advocate of that. I believe that mindless hard work is stupid. Okay. And most people who struggle are usually the ones who struggle in their mind. The struggle is not real, right? For example, let's say people pleasing in this case. If you simply worked on yourself, this will not be an issue. So the time you're wasting thinking about, oh my God, what will people think of me, will not be wasted, right? So make it easier for yourself to succeed in your career. Don't make it stupidly hard for yourself. Don't try to be a martyr. Don't try to be that. Don't try to have a savior syndrome. That, okay, you know what, I will be the person who will say yes to everyone. It does not do anyone any kind of favors, right? Okay, so that is it from my side today. I'm just gonna see if we have any questions so far, and then we're going to say goodbye for today. And I promise I will be more consistent with my live events going forward. And again, those of you who are new and you are not aware of when and how I do my live events, I tend to announce them on LinkedIn, sometimes pretty impromptu, in a very impromptu manner. So just if you follow me, you will be able to see my post. And I sort of post every single day, so you'll be able to see it. Okay. I don't think we have any questions for today. By the way, I also have like two free communities, right? One is where I do a lot of trauma informed classes. Like the recent one we did was impact of trauma on money and career growth. It was a very fantastic class. You can find that in my in that WhatsApp group of mine. You can join it. It's a free WhatsApp group. And I also have a WhatsApp group called the Safe Space. It's a community where I write every single day, and I write on personal growth, I write on trauma healing, I write on how to develop your confidence and how to overcome lack of self-confidence and anxiety and other things, like many, many topics. So if you are like a personal growth enthusiast, if you like reading things that challenge you, because I sometimes tend to write like triggering stuff that sort of challenges your thinking. If you're into all that stuff, you're very welcome to join my community inside. And if there's anything else you would like me to address, any particular topic you would like me to do an live event on, I am always very, very open to feedback. In fact, even this live event was actually inspired from the recent free Q&A I did inside my community, where I sort of sent in free audio coaching sessions. So if you feel that there is a specific topic you would like me to cover, feel free to DM me. And if you would like to work with me, again, feel free to DM me. I will see you very soon.